Right then, before we get into this, it's time for a very quick history lesson on me. My favourite film is called The World's End, a 2013 movie about a group of 40-something lads on a 12-pint reunion bar crawl during an alien invasion, basically. Full to the brim with bar fights, unspoken trauma, and a nostalgic view through rose-tinted glasses on how we were back in the good old days, I have probably seen this film way over 100 times, and have even done the full golden mile of pubs in the film in real life, in film-accurate fancy dress. But while I could spend literal hours talking about the complexities of the film's main character Gary King, or how the movie serves as a visual metaphor for starbucking independent community pubs by pubcos, chains and breweries, instead I think we should focus on one of the core elements of British culture explored in the film, the pub crawl. For those unaware, a pub crawl is essentially picking a selection of pubs in a town or a city with the intention to visit them all in a single outing. Sometimes the route can be pre-planned, taking into consideration the walking time between venues, and other times you can just walk into a bar and, while there, decide where you want to go next. Back when I was in university, me and my mate Emily set ourselves the goal of drinking in every pub in the entire city of Lincoln before we graduated, all the way from the Gamekeeper in South Hykeham to the Lincoln Imp on Ermine. To tell you the truth, I can't really remember when we decided to take on this challenge, but each week we'd pick a cluster of pubs in an area of the city and head out on a Friday or Saturday to explore somewhere new and sink a few pints, essentially taking on a mini pub crawl each and every week. It let us find some absolute gems in the city, outside the immediate city centre, and introduced us to some fantastic characters who I still visit when I'm up in Lincoln. Big shout out to you, John. But by the end of our second year in uni, our drinking circle had dwindled to just a handful of people, and in our eyes, this simply would not do. So we did the one thing you would do in that situation, and we formed a society with the Students' Union. The Lincoln City Pub Society was established to encourage students to drink outside the immediate city centre, support local businesses, and meet new friends. We often got a lot of comparisons to the Real Ale Society, or perhaps just the Piss Up Club, but we always maintained that we didn't really care about what you drank, alcoholic or not, so long as you came out to socialise. And also paid the membership fee because that funded the end of year brewery trip. We did rural walks, scavenger hunts, collaborations with other societies, and every so often we'd get the whole group together for a great big pub crawl, terrorising the city streets for a few hours by taking 40-odd students into a tiny pub and ordering a round of Guinnesses. Even after I left university, I still continued the pub crawl tradition when I lived in Somerset and Bedfordshire, getting together with my mates to visit many or even all of the pubs in a town in one night. And no crawl would be complete without a natter at the bar with a stranger. But you're probably now wondering, how on earth does this relate back to the Professor Layton series? Well, within the games, books, and even the film, the wide world of Professor Layton has a fair few pubs of its own. And what's best, many of them are in London. And while we wouldn't exactly be Gary Kinging it, after weeks of planning the logistics and best possible route, I got together with some of the funniest people I know to visit 6 boozers that either appeared in, have a link to, or are a suitable replacement for the pubs in the Layton series. To get us started, no Layton event would be complete without a puzzle, and our first stop was none other than the Monkey Puzzle. It literally says puzzle in the name. That's the link. No more questions, please. And while I was definitely looking forward to visiting the rest of the venues that day, simply walking from place to place wouldn't really have made for any decent content. And so back in the planning stages, I quickly realised that I needed something to keep the day more on brand for a Professor Layton event.
But as it's quite well known in the DearestHershel community that I fucking suck at puzzles, the last thing I wanted to do was be spending my day making my pals solve them. So that's why I came up with something else.
There you go. I can see it's pointed at me.
Yeah.
There you go. Right, so yes, hello. Welcome to the DearestHershel Puzzle Crawl. We're in pub 1, the Monkey Puzzle. Cheers.
Cheers, fella.
Dearie me. This could be a disaster. I've not planned anything like this before. But as I said earlier, I wanted to have a bit of something extra, you know, and because I'm not very good at puzzles, I've I've had to rack my brains, and instead I've got a set of bingo cards on the back of pizza boxes, which over the course of the day you can all tick them off, and the first to win wins a prize.
Ooh. What's the prize?
I don't know, I've not bought it yet.
It's a secret. Tell us.
Our lovely guests here, and James behind the camera, will be our team captains for the day. Yeah, help yourself. I've tried to pick things that I think most British boozers in the country will have.
Sorry.
If anyone needs any help understanding what any of these mean, let me know, but enjoy.
My favourite prompt so far is old man in a flat cap. Such a good one.
There's some repeats on different ones, but for the most part, they're all different things. Like James is already on the move.
Would we qualify this carpet as ugly? Because that's subjective.
No, this is quite. This is a nice carpet. What have you got so far, Mitch?
I've already got flags right there.
What's your question, James?
Does these signs count as live, laugh, love? I mean, come on.
If you want, you know.
I'm gonna come. Okay.
Oh, cracking the window.
There you go. I've given you Rob's got the chalk pen.
I've got the chalk pen.
So he can't actually tick anything off.
Do you want to see if
I'm just gonna do rub it off like that.
Works.
It kind of works, you know. It just it's just doing it.
James is on the move. What's he found?
Top hat one might not be as hard as you think. I've genuinely seen two people wandering around near my flat wearing top hats, like proper ones.
There you go.
Oh my god.
I'm serious. So like it was like a builder.
Yeah.
And he just had like a gorgeous, like properly made top hat.
Are you sure
like
it wasn't Jacob Rees-Mogg? He's the only person I know that wears a top hat.
Would that count as something questionably racist?
If you see a picture of Jacob Rees-Mogg, sure, why not?
Well, I don't have as much question about that though. That's the issue.
Oh fuck, you're right. Actually,
That's not a question.
Yes, I'd created a series of bingo cards of things that every great British boozer usually has within them, such as fruit machines with a busted light, furniture on the piss, and graffiti all over the bogs. Speaking of the monkey puzzle, this pub sits at the bottom of a block of flats, built in 1969 on Sussex Gardens, and is named after the Araucaria araucana, a type of tree brought to England from South America in the 1850s, more commonly known as the monkey puzzle tree, after famous barrister Charles Austin remarked, "It'd puzzle a monkey to climb that." There is actually a monkey puzzle tree outside the pub, but I didn't really get any proper footage of it, so sorry to disappoint. Today though, the pub is owned by the Dorset-based brewery Hall & Woodhouse and stocks a variety of ales, spirits and lagers. I had a thirsty ferret, if anyone was interested. You probably weren't. But with pint one down, we moved on to our next boozer, the Cock Tavern on Great Portland Street, which makes a pretty accurate appearance in Eternal Diva. I've made a full video on this in the past, so, you know, go watch that and give me some ad revenue. But this is a Samuel Smith's pub that goes back at least as far as 1737. The first known landlord, at least as far as I can tell, was William Rymel, who had the pub in 1811. The current building was built in 1897 though, and features these ginormous lamps on the outside, which for whatever reason weren't included in the Eternal Diva version of the pub. Noted for its Victorian wood-panelled interior and cheaper than usual drinks and dinners, this is a very lovely pub, and I've now visited 4 separate times in the last year. The staff were very friendly and happy to help the gang with their bingo cards, much to my dismay, as it meant that someone was now closer to winning a pint. But I'd really recommend this pub to anyone visiting London, especially as it's so close to Oxford Circus.
Oh, you know that Bob guy, he's just too tall.
He is too fucking tall. Like, share some feet for the rest of us.
Yeah,
Come on.
it's freakish, honestly. Every time he walks anywhere, it changes the weather patterns.
Most people have 2 feet. He has like, what, 7 feet?
Yeah.
Pub number 2. Harry's there now.
I am here.
How you doing on the on the bingo, Harry?
Oh, we're doing good. Yeah, we're
Anyone
doing.
close to a full line yet? No?
Oh, you know me, I love a line.
Stop right there, criminal scum.
We've nearly finished a roll of that.
Like, I feel like that's really.
Well, you've got to get AIR and a funny smell.
Funny spell.
Next though, it was time to mingle with the tourists as we hit up Covent Garden with a trip to the Harp on Chandos Place.
Yeah.
It's his own fault. He's only got himself to blame.
Three.
We could be in the pub by now.
Yeah.
And then
Useless.
someone else moved in.
This pub doesn't appear in the series itself, but its interior was the closest I could find to Anita's bar in Lost Future. A better choice here would have been the Tipperary on Fleet Street, but by the time I planned all this, it had sadly closed down. Established in 1783, at least according to the big sign in the window, the Harp was first known as the Welsh Harp, and its walls are carpeted in historic paintings, prints and mirrors. While the real painting in Lost Future, The Sower by Jean-François Millet, wasn't on the wall, there were still plenty of alternatives to look at. And I can also add here that everyone who had funny smell on their bingo cards immediately ticked it off as we walked through the door. Nice pub though.
Anyway, pub 3, James, how you feeling?
I'm okay, thanks. I had two pints by accident in the second pub, so I'm one ahead of myself. So that's probably going to be quite bad for me in the long run, but we'll deal with that tomorrow.
And how are you doing on bingo?
Better than I thought. I only need a random quote, but I'd also like a toilet out of order, any posters of pub deals, graffiti stickers, or a pub quiz advert. I imagine is what you meant to say. So I'm just waiting for them. But Bob's fixed it, so you can't actually find any of this stuff in any of the pubs we go to.
I have not. That's not true.
He has fixed it. He has fixed it, and he knows he has, but he won't admit it. I refuse to come in anymore.
Yeah, how did you find pub number 3, Harry?
I liked it, yeah.
Yeah, are you ready for St Stephen's on Parliament Square now?
Look at my face. I'm so excited.
Thanks, Harry, that was really good.
Having now had 3 pints, the gang and I decided we should probably call in on Dr. Schrader, so went to visit him at his apartment, or as it's more commonly known, St Stephen's Tavern on Parliament Square.
Parliament Square, I'm looking at this one because it's a wider map.
True.
So Trafalgar Square, literally just go down the main road, turn right, Westminster, bosh. Directioning.
Maps, we know it.
You know, I may be 3 pints in, right? I may be 3 pints in, my sense of direction, goated.
This here is in Professor Layton in the Curious Village, but only the HD remaster. The Battle of Trafalgar canonically happened in the Layton series. How does that make you feel, Rob?
You know, it makes me feel excited to be an on-set Layton fan. I've not played a single game, but I've seen all of Bob's videos.
This pub is also one that I've visited numerous times before, simply because of its connection to Pandora's Box, though it's a really lovely boozer, slap bang in the middle of London. It is said that various UK politicians all use this pub, and it even has a division bell installed to warn MPs of an upcoming vote. Though as much as I looked around, I couldn't see any of them. That's probably for the best. There have been several other pubs on this site in the past, including the Swan Hotel and the Queen's Head, though this current version of the building dates back to 1875. And as various journalists during the reign of Queen Victoria refer to the clock tower that housed Big Ben as St Stephen's Tower, it's likely that the pub was named after that. Unfortunately, on our visit, there wasn't any inside seating available, and we couldn't find Dr. Schrader, so we instead sat on the patio outside, which funnily enough is where Layton parks his car in the game.
I won! What?
Mitchell's just won the bingo with a diagonal.
They smashed one.
Oh, fuck's sake.
How are you feeling about your big win?
I feel fucking amazing.
You should buy them a pint. You should buy them a pint as a thank you.
What's the prize? Well, you get a pint of your choice.
I'll have one of these, thank you.
So what? Say something? Yes. Hello gang, I'm DearestHershel. We're here today in St Stephen's Tavern on Parliament Square, which is right behind you here. This is Dr. Schrader's apartment in Professor Layton and Pandora's Box, and just over here is where Layton parked his car when he went to visit Dr. Schrader. Are you zoomed in on just my nose at the minute or something? Yeah, I thought that might be the case. Well, you're apparently on camera. Content.
Sick.
So Jamie's here now. What's your favourite thing about the Professor Layton series, Jamie?
Professor Layton.
Yeah? What about Professor Layton do you like the most?
I like his hat.
You like his hat, yeah?
Yeah.
Leaving Dr. Schrader's, we had a bit of a journey to our next venue. Appearing in Curious Village, Eternal Diva, Asran Legacy vs Ace Attorney and Layton's Mystery Journey, Tower Bridge is one of the more prominent London landmarks in the series, and so it would be silly to not have a bevy there.
That's got to be a puzzle right there.
Oh, that's cute! Oh my god, that's...
Here's your obligatory tourist shop. That was in the series. Aren't I great at vlogging?
Unfortunately for us, the bridge, or rather the space beneath it, does contain a bar, the Vault. This pub is relatively new, opening for the first time in 2007, but the space the bar occupies was originally the coal store for the engine rooms of the bridge. Barges travelling up and down the Thames could offload directly into the Vault, whereby the coal would be placed into wagons to then be sent across the road to power the bridge. In 1976, however, the bridge switched to oil and electricity, thereby making the coal vault redundant. For a while it served as a garage for the bridge master's car, and later became a gift shop, which closed in 2001. In 2003, work began on converting the space into a bar, which is what still occupies the space today. You can really tell that this space was not designed to be a bar originally, especially given that the path to the loos maybe stand at a 90-degree angle. But the view out across the river was lovely.
Second place bingo's gone to Lulu.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about your prize?
I'm going for full house. I'm so competitive.
Do you think you've got a chance to get in third place as well?
We got a third place.
Did we?
With what?
Yeah. Vintage bric-a-brac was the last thing, the buzz.
Oh, well, no one told me that, so well done. Third place has gone into it as well.
What do they win?
A half point. How do you feel about third place?
I feel fantastic. I also feel great knowing that it's going to cost you more money than first and second place because 2 half pints is more expensive than a whole pint.
This is a business expense.
It was now time though for our final pint, and this one was also a fair stretch away in Greenwich.
It wasn't even like, oh friend, the first thing he said to me was, you're a dream come
I don't know. There you go.
Yeah, and then he wouldn't
There you go.
We'd now be visiting probably the most important pub in the Layton series, the Thames Arms. And while no real pub exists with this name, I was still determined to find a real boozer that we could make into our own version of the pub. I started by identifying some key features of the building which our real-world counterpart had to have in order for it to make the cut. Firstly, it had to be directly on the river, with the rear windows of the building facing out towards the Thames. Next, the pub had to be to the east of the Greenwich Foot Tunnel, which appears in the game opposite the Isle of Dogs. And lastly, the pub had to have a little pier or jetty behind it. While no such jetty is there today, it appears that there was once one here, accessed through the Nile dining room of the Trafalgar Tavern on Park Row. Originally, this site was home to the Old George Tavern, which was owned by an independent landlord who catered largely to local fishermen. Though in 1830, he applied for planning permission to extend the pub to accommodate the larger swathes of tourists and visitors to Greenwich. However, the architect employed to create such an extension, Joseph Kay, sabotaged the application and took on the site himself, designing a Regency-style tavern similar to those seen in seaside towns such as Brighton or Weston-super-Mare, which opened as the Trafalgar Tavern in 1837. Over the years, the venue was visited by many prominent figures of their time, including Charles Dickens, William Thackeray, and Prime Minister William Ewart Gladstone. During the First World War, the tavern shut and became a home for aged seamen, and later became a working man's club in the 1920s, as well as a fire station in the 30s. It wasn't until 1965, though, that the building reopened as a pub, and was restored to its Victorian origins 3 years later. In more modern times, the pub was taken on by local businessman Frank Dowling, who, at least at some point, owned most of the venues in the maritime Greenwich area, and seems to have just as many legal disputes too. But he does have a very impressive collection of art, lining every square inch of wall space throughout the tavern. On our visit, I had a pint of Trafalgar Bitter, and we sat in the superbly lovely Nelson Room, with views across the river to Canary Wharf.
Well, thanks for joining us on the Professor Layton pub crawl. What are your thoughts today?
Brilliant. Came third place. Couldn't expect anything more.
What about you, Ray? What are you?
10 out of 10. Probably the best day of my life.
So far.
Nice. Mitch, you got any closing thoughts?
I won. What else can I say?
Anything else from the fandom?
You set me up. I was never going to find an Irish-themed quiz machine in a posh London pub, though.
Yeah.
You set me up.
It was close. We were literally talking about how a smash glass was never going to happen, and then like 5 seconds later, someone smashed their glass. And I was like, alright.
No. And then Rob was talking about how he hasn't seen anyone with a flat cap, and someone walked in. But
so
also,
start talking about it.
You couldn't have been more obvious you were talking about them, because you were like, literally just walked in right now. The guy's like walking through. And you were like, flat cap. All right.
Well, the battery is now about to die, so
let's go to Weatherspoons.
Thanks everyone for coming.
Let's go.
Let's
let's move on. Lovely. Cheers.